Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing this morning? Good morning, Sterling. Hey, Daniel. Good morning, John. Good morning, Patrick. Hey, Harold. Thank you for tuning in. Good morning, Martinez. Good morning, Eric. A natty gas trigger double, or remind me we can take a look. Good morning, PMG. It's okay, Sterling. Work takes priority over this silly live stream. There's a large fluctuation in a second before closing to trigger double. Any insight? Not when I did not look at natty gas right now. I'll have to take a look. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, David. And thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everybody in the background who is not commenting. Again, I appreciate everyone being here. So we had the Fed pause yesterday and the dovish Fed meeting, winding down some quantitative tightening. I thought it was very dovish, but at least Powell said, inflation is transitory again. Inflation is transitory, not expecting to drop to 2% until 2027. So how do you get an average of 2% if we've been above 2% we're going to be above 2% potentially for a number of years. So don't you have to run below 2% to get an average? I'm just wondering. Hello, Charles. All right. With that being said, by the way, the Bank of England was a pause this morning on their interest rates. Initial jobless claims coming in 223 is slightly higher than prior, slightly edging up slowly, still lower than consensus. Continuing jobless claims still below 1,900K, but edging higher and slightly above consensus. We had the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index coming in at 12.5, above consensus. Look, prices paid coming in, bumping prices paid to 48.30 from 40.50. New orders, though, dropping, unemployment jumping. So some mixed numbers with the Philly Fed. What else do we have today? We have existing home sales, consumer board leading index. We'll see if this is still in contraction. And then we have some bill auctions. And then tomorrow we just have Fed Williams speaking. So very light day tomorrow. Remember, the big things today are some key things after the close. Good morning, MJ. And that's why America stinks at math? In reference to what? Okay. After the sort of the rally yesterday with the Fed meeting, you have the opposite going into the open today. A lot of pullbacks today. A lot of the mega caps are slightly pulling back going into the open. And we have the only thing positive are utilities. That's it. Everything else is negative going into the open. Fed watch now. We don't have another meeting for like 48 days. But the Fed was saying 1 or 2 cuts, and this is pricing in 3 cuts, with the third being in December. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but nothing important there. Still in extreme fear. Shiller PE, still mid-35s. Market not cheap. Really not much yesterday in terms of earnings after the close, and this morning, not really much of anything today after the close. So we got Micron, Nike, and FedEx. None of this really, Micron could really move the semis a bit, but FedEx, depending on the guidance they give, can have some effect on the market. So I will keep an eye on that, but that's it. Good morning, Ted. All right, and tomorrow morning, Carnival, Cruise Lines, NIO, nothing big there. All right, so let's get the S&P. Yesterday we talked about the little mini double playing out. This little one really nice, hitting all the targets, pulling back, and then you had the Fed meeting, launching into the other one and not holding. Now we're still with the bigger triggered potential double, or bigger confirmed double bottom. We do have a potential double top. So just remember 56.50, really. 56.50.75 to be exact. On the close below that on at least 4 hours, we could retest. Now, Daniel, you said the 50% projection harmonic has to be in there. It has to be the first and second target. So 50 and 75 have to be within the move that started it, not just the 50. That's why this is a valid double. So you see the first target right here, second target right here within the move that started it. And it has to be within the candle bodies that started it. This looks like it's slightly off. There we go. So that's where we sit right there. Otherwise, so unless that triggers, I still have to lean to a choppy to upward potential bias but we are against the rotation zone, and really, really key, you start seeing the selling pressure. We have key selling pressure above this 57.50 area. We pop above there, we're still getting selling pressure. So that's been the key, and the first target was just above that. The first target was just above that, but that's what I'm watching, this 57.50 area for selling pressure. So it's got to really sustain. Also, daily cycles back to the top, and we are against the rotation zone still. But I can't get significantly bearish unless this little 4-hour double top. This one triggers because we've already triggered a minor bullish pattern. So nothing else has changed there. You're welcome, Daniel. Oh, just in reference. Okay, yeah. Well, I think they use their adjusted averages, which I have no idea. We talked about that years ago with Bob, which we have no idea what an adjusted average is because you either have an average or you don't. But nothing makes sense because they'll contradict themselves every other meeting. Here's an example for you, Daniel. See how this, you have the double top here, or it's really two tops because here, even if I use the conservative targets, you see how the first and second targets are beyond the move that started it. This one would not be valid. That's why the NASDAQ does not have a potential double top. Okay, so right now, oops, wrong one. Right now, even though we haven't raised the stop on this, I'm still watching this key area of 19,653. Really 19,750 to 19,650 for a key support zone. And that's also where we found the support. And then we hit there we found support before the Fed meeting. And then we rallied up, making the not double. And the key pressure above this is just above 2,100. There is a lot of selling pressure. A lot of selling pressure for that going up 2,100 or 20,100, sorry. So keep an eye on that. So that's my key resistance area, and it's got to sustain a base above there to finish playing out the double to the upside. Otherwise, and the official stop still on that double. The official, I should say an invalidation point. The stop can always be higher. But what invalidates the rest of the pattern is a close below 19,589. There, I'm watching for key support is right around, again, 19,650 to 19,750. Wide zone, but that's where I'll watch for any pullback support patterns. The Dow, again, this is just a channeling correction pattern for me right now into the rotation zone. Again, the Dow's got to sustain above 42,100. There's selling pressure above there. And the very key support right now is right around 42,000. 41,950 to 42,000. Russell hitting the other end of the rotation zone. Not going to watch. We got cycles at the top right now, and we did not trigger any bullish pattern in the Russell. So going to watch for rotation back down. Russell is the first one I'll look to for rollover patterns. The VIX still, in order to really sustain this, has to continue below 20. Yesterday's close was 1989, but couldn't really get traction below 20, and now we're back above it. So, again, 20 is my magic number for that. The DAX, big reversal yesterday with the sloppy potential double, but still not even below the rotation zone. The key level that I'm watching on the DAX is 22,720. The notes, the potential double top, which never confirmed or triggered, is off the table. It's now into a triple top. So that's off. And other than that, for the yield, the confirmed double that never triggered is now not confirmed anymore. It's off the table. It's now a triple bottom. So we're going to have to see. The major line in the sand, if the yields drop below this 4.15 area, is 4.0, just for about 4.02. So that's very key to watch going into. Now, dollar index had the little pullback, but this did not invalidate the double on the daily. And now it's moving up pretty decently. It's still against the rotation zone, but I'm going to see if the dollar can follow through with a close above 103.73. Crude, confirmed, but again, still not triggered. Still just sitting here, letting the rotation zone get out of the way. What would invalidate this? Again, it's not triggered yet. What would invalidate the confirmation? You see it came down here, tapped the 62.5, but did not close below it. So any close below 66.14 invalidates it. Natty gas. Let me just do this. Let's just look at this, the May contract, because who said something to Natty gas? Where was it? What was I hallucinating with where was that? Double Natty gas triggered a double on which time frame? Because I'm looking at the on which time frame. I'm just not, unless you're talking a really short time frame, unless you're talking like this little flattened out 1 hour one. That's the only thing I'm seeing. So when you put in when you put in something, cite the time frame you're talking about, so we can jump straight to it. So we can jump straight to that. Gold, little pause up here at the next key harmonic and pulling back right now. Not a major. I'm going to be watching if we make a minor head and shoulders topping pattern in here. Nothing major yet. This has got very far, very fast, very overbought. Very overbought. So, keeping an eye on that. Copper, by the way, we don't touch on this all the time, but copper back in last week closed above the 62.5, took out the 75, and still I'm going to be watching if this can take out the overall 5.2 now and get to the super topping area. But copper's been on a nice, interesting run that we don't cover. Yen, watching on this pullback for a more significant bottoming pattern if we set one up with daily cycles rolling over, but no major pattern yet. Keeping an eye on this too. Remember, the dollar has the potential double bottom. The euro has the potential double top. Needs to close below 108.52 to trigger. And I'd really pay attention to this first target for at least a minor bounce, which comes in at 107.62. The spiders again coming up, retesting that first target area. Gap down today, so the first out anything bullish would be for the gap fill to 567.13. Now, do we have, let's take a look at this. We have a double on the spiders too. Let's verify it. So I'm going conservative targets on this one. And the move that started the candle bodies are right there. Okay, so yes. So pay attention if the spiders close on a 4-hour basis below 559.07. 559.07. Other than that, still the bullish pattern is in play. But that's what's key. And on the Qs, again, this one would not count. This one would not count because the targets are all going to be below the move that started it. So on the Qs, personally, I'm keeping an eye on any pullback between right around 476 to 474, roughly, for any pullback. I didn't see it on the daily. Did I miss? I did not see a natty gas head and shoulders. what am I doing? What am I thinking of? Let's just go straight to the contract. May being this, let's see, where's it? I'm not seeing I don't see it. I don't see a double triggered on this one. This wouldn't be a double with this close. There's no rotation in there. Bitcoin breaking above now. It's got to hold on any pullback. It's got to hold 84,200 is very, very key on Bitcoin to then really hold the prior resistance becoming support and then breaking above the key area of 87,000. Tesla, by the way, I did not point this out yesterday, but we did have a little mini 1 hour double which played out. That's the only thing, and had a gap fill. So you see the gap up and then playing it out and filling the gap. But that was the only short term. Now you still, for those Tesla bulls, the longer term, the potential bigger double is still in play against the rotation zone. But it looks like it's going to gap down today. And this is a very sloppy double, so it's that's going to be one of the lower probability ones. Good morning, Heinrich. Good morning, McRangers. Can I take a look at XTN? Here's your weekly, monthly, longer-term thoughts and general implications of a leading indicator for. I follow a lot of Dow theory stuff. We don't talk about this. This is broken down. This actually triggered some interesting Dow theory topping patterns. So overall, let's take a look at it's a very valid leading indicator, the transportation index, even though it's not much watched anymore. So where am I on this? Well, we've already played out the move to this downside. To the bigger, if we start breaking below 72 on this index, I'm watching for the retest of the very key support area right around 65. And this is, what I think we're headed into. It's not going to be a soft landing. It's going to be more of a harder landing. And it's going to be interesting to see what inflation does with that. If we still have some stickier inflation. Now, my key area I'd be watching on this index is for it to return to this 65 to 67 area on that index. But yes, I would not be getting bullish on this at all. On any bounce plays, I'd be looking for rollover plays. Now, right now, it's very oversold, so I would not be surprised to see a bounce. But that bounce could be very, very short-lived. So you see here, trying to build a little spike bottom base. If we break above the 76, we could easily return to the 78 to 79 area, and then I'd be watching for another rollover play in that. So much negative sentiment on Tesla. There is a lot of negative sentiment on Tesla, and Tesla is still, on any bounce play, incredibly overvalued from a fundamental standpoint. Separate from Elon, separate from anything else, just from a fundamental standpoint, it's overvalued. And from a technical standpoint, we should at least get back to 182, which would still be overvalued fundamentally. You're welcome, MJ. Did I say good morning, McRangers? Good morning. What else? We don't have a lot of great bullish setups right now. Apple, remembers, triggered a massive double top, returned yesterday to the rotation zone. I'm watching for rollover plays in that continuing with magnet prices lower. Going to be watching potentially for a bounce play in Meta. But that's about it before the next rollover play. A lot of these Meta's trading against this 200, which is the first time it really reconnected since it broke away with a gap breakaway back in February 23. So if this breaks down, Really going to be interesting. Really going to be interesting if Meta breaks down too. So you don't have a lot of things that are really bullish with the mega caps. Microsoft has confirmed a sloppy weekly double top, but not officially triggered it yet. It is on a weekly basis. It has confirmed. So I'll be watching for rollover plays in this too. So there's a lot of potential still things that can roll over in the longer term. And again, Microsoft's still trading with a PE of roughly 31. Microsoft's not a strong growth company. You know, it's got its AI aspects. So again, more important to me though is the patterns that are triggering. What do I think of long on the bonds? If the bonds can sustain above this 91 level, it's could be a short-term play to me, but a long-term play, it's got to then get back above in this 95 area. So short-term, I'd definitely be, if you're along the TLTs, I'd be raising a stop somewhere between 92.75 to 93.25, and then more aggressively raising a stop closer to 95 if you're playing that to the long side right now. This is a short term with this gap up today. It's a short term potential breakout play to at least retest this 200 area and the prior tops from the beginning of March. All right, let's just take a look at the S&P. The good old S&P going into the open. So do we have a setup here yet? I'll be keeping an eye on this. Let's see. It has to get below 50. If this gets below 56.90 and does not invalidate the potential double, it doesn't have to stop at 56.90, but it has to get below there and hold this prior base from earlier this morning. Then I'd be watching, because this is a clear path move on a 15-minute. I'd be watching for this. This is not a valid double yet, but I'd be watching that if we get back above the 57.12. If we break down below that, there's a couple support points here, but again, that major level is 56, 50, 75 to trigger the potential double the other way. So that's what I'd be keeping an eye on this morning going into the open. And that, let's just see if there's one in the NASDAQ. And for the NASDAQ, for all the NASDAQ traders, I'd be watching to see if, let's see, this roughly drops below about 19,767 and holds these lows from earlier. Because you also have a clear path move there. So those could be interesting reversal plays. They might become invalidated or never set up, but that's, again, what I'd be watching personally from the bullish case. All right, I will see everyone back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. You're short the NASDAQ hoping for a flush. Well, I hope your trade works out, Charles. Just manage it, and manage your reward to risk. With that, I'll talk to everyone tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye for now.